cocktail party is one thing. It is meant to feature insubstantial fare, both intellectual and culinary, chit-chat and hors d'oeuvres, and plentiful drink to provide an illusion of more ample engagement. But a dinner happens around a table and should involve sustained and substantive talk involving the group as a whole. One can't exceed 10 for this kind of thing, and even then the possibility of true communal intercourse is unlikely. 8, or better, 6 is advisable. 6 is about the right size for dinner conversation, agreed W. H. Auden in his poetry collection, About the House. The larger a dinner gets, the greater the risk of 1 or 2 blowhards dominating the event, or of having the group splinter into nattering twosomes. It is the job of the host, like that of the teacher in a seminar, to prevent this from occurring. But when the numbers become too great, even the most skillful host can lose her grip. In the case of the earlier list, it is fun for me to imagine how they might be grouped for the most effective conversation. Alice James and Frederick Douglass? Yes. Simone de Beauvoir and Alfred Hitchcock? Possibly. Sigmund Freud and Dr. Johnson? No. But throw in George Eliot and it might work. It is interesting to think how people can combine, like ingredients in recipes, heightening or diluting each other, or producing some felicitous new combination. The rendering of dinner table talk is a genre of sorts going back to Plato's Symposium. Lucian's Dialogues of the Courtesans and Dialogues of the Dead presumably took their cue from Plato, but were satirical rather than philosophical. Table talk miscellanies were popular in the 19th century, with Samuel Taylor Coleridge's contribution being the most noteworthy. The volume covered such topics as reason and understanding, Jews, Greek and Latin pentameter, characterlessness of women, and times of Charles I. One can practically hear Coleridge's exhaustively erudite chatter as one peruses this book. In the 1920s, Vanity Fair magazine created a series of impossible interviews which featured imagined conversations between the likes of Will Rogers and Noel Coward, John D. Rockefeller Sr. and Joseph Stalin, and Greta Garbo and Calvin Coolidge. Alexander Woollcott, a member of the Algonquin Circle, turned this idea into a literal exercise, bringing unlikely people together in what he dubbed strange bedfellows. One incongruous pair that got along surprisingly well was Harpo Marx and George Bernard Shaw. More recently, Craig Brown, the English satirist, described a daisy chain of eccentric real-life encounters in Hello, Goodbye, Hello, a circle of 101 remarkable meetings. In some cases, Mark Twain and Helen Keller, the rapport is immediate. In others, Groucho Marx and T.S. Eliot, the personalities rub each other the wrong way just as quickly. My own experience suggests that whatever one may think in advance, one can never tell how people will get along. Some of my acquaintances who seem bound to like each other don't, and some who seem incompatible do. I know a number of people whom I should not logically like conversing with, whom I nonetheless find invigorating, and several who seem perfect on paper whom I avoid like the plague. Human personality is an odd and delicate mechanism, and our predilections and aversions can be tipped in one direction or the other by elements as fine as a butterfly's wing. When I was approached to write a book about conversation, I responded enthusiastically. If there's one thing I like to do more than anything else, it's talk. Everyone needs conversation, but some people need more of it than others. I am someone who needs more, and to write about the topic seems to me almost as good as engaging in it. In this, I diverge radically from the classical philosopher, Epictetus, who in his collection of golden sayings cautioned, "Let silence be your general rule, or say only what is necessary and in few words," avoiding such common topics as gladiators, horse races, athletes, and the perpetual talk about food and drink. If you can, win over the conversation of your company to what it should be by your own. But if you should find yourself cut off without escape among strangers and aliens, be silent. I would violate Epictetus's closing maxim on the spot. Instead of being silent, I would work diligently to find something to say.